Welcome, weary travelers, to the gentle realm where shadows take shape and nightmares find form. Tonight, we journey through the quiet corridors of anatomy and evolution, exploring the beautiful and terrible creatures that dwell beyond the veil of our familiar world. From the flowering petals of death that crown the Demogorgon to the living storms that think like ancient minds, we'll trace the delicate biology that connects each monster to the realm that shaped them. So settle into your most comfortable sanctuary, let the soft glow of scientific wonder wash over you, and allow these anatomical mysteries to carry you into peaceful slumber. The creature that would become known as the Demogorgon first emerged from the twisted evolutionary pressures of a realm where survival demanded perfection in the art of killing. Its skeletal framework, representing millions of years of refinement, distilled into a form so precisely calibrated for predation that every bone, every muscle fiber, every sensory organ existed solely to serve the ancient imperative of hunt, capture, and consume that governed life in a world where mercy was a luxury that no organism could afford to possess. The towering height that makes the Demogorgon such an imposing presence reflects not random growth but deliberate evolutionary architecture, its elongated limbs and stretched torso, creating leverage systems that amplify striking power, while maintaining the flexibility necessary for navigation through environments that demand equal facility with vertical surfaces and narrow passages. The creature's ability to move through trees and buildings with identical ease, demonstrating how its proportions serve multiple tactical requirements simultaneously. The skeletal structure itself tells the story of a predator designed by forces that understood the mathematics of violence with scientific precision, each rib curved to protect vital organs while allowing maximum lung capacity for the sustained pursuit that characterizes its hunting methodology, the extended reach of its arms creating striking distance that keeps prey within killing range, while maintaining the creature's own safety from desperate counterattacks that might wound or disable a less perfectly proportioned opponent. The muscular system that animates this skeletal framework represents a masterpiece of biological engineering, dense bundles of fast twitch fibers, capable of explosive acceleration, woven together with slow twitch endurance muscles that permit the patient stalking behavior that makes the Demogorgon such an effective hunter. Its ability to remain motionless for hours before unleashing devastating speed, reflecting the perfect balance between power and efficiency that characterizes apex predators across evolutionary history. The skin that covers this muscular architecture displays the mottled coloration and texture that provides natural camouflage in environments where shadows and decay create visual confusion. The creature's ability to blend seamlessly with the corrupted landscape of the Upside Down, demonstrating how its external appearance serves tactical purposes rather than aesthetic ones. Every patch of discoloration and every ridge of scar tissue contributing to its effectiveness as an ambush predator that strikes from concealment. But it is the head that reveals the true genius of the Demogorgon's anatomical design, that flowering nightmare of flesh and teeth that opens like a grotesque bloom to reveal the feeding mechanism that has been perfected through countless generations of selection pressure, favoring those individuals whose oral anatomy could process prey with maximum efficiency while minimizing the time and energy expenditure required for consumption that might leave the predator vulnerable to competitors or environmental threats. The facial structure in its closed position appears almost humanoid from a distance, the subtle suggestion of familiar features creating psychological hesitation in prey species that have evolved to recognize threats based on conventional predatory markers. This camouflage effect providing crucial seconds of advantage during initial contact, when surprise represents the difference between successful capture and missed opportunity that might result in lengthy pursuit or complete loss of prey. To environmental factors. The transformation that occurs when the creature opens its face reveals the true horror of its feeding anatomy. The splitting of what appeared to be skin exposing rows of backward curved teeth arranged in concentric circles that function like organic bear traps. The inward-facing design, ensuring that any prey item, unfortunate enough to be grasped by these dental arrays, will find escape impossible once the closure reflex has been triggered by contact with organic material. The petal-like segments that unfold during feeding serve multiple purposes beyond simple intimidation. Their positioning, creating a funnel effect that guides struggling prey toward the central grinding mechanism, while the muscular contractions of each segment work in coordination to compress and process organic material with efficiency that would be admired by any industrial engineer tasked with designing machinery for similar purposes, though the wet sounds of this biological processing would haunt the dreams of anyone who witnessed its operation. The neurological system that coordinates this complex feeding behavior demonstrates intelligence that extends far beyond simple instinctual responses. The creature's ability to assess prey items and adjust its approach based on size, mobility, and defensive capabilities, revealing cognitive processing that approaches problem-solving rather than mere reactive behavior patterns. Its capacity to learn from unsuccessful attempts and modify future hunting strategies, indicating mental flexibility that distinguishes true predators from simple scavengers. The sensory organs that guide the Demogorgon's hunting behavior represent perhaps the most remarkable aspect of its anatomy. The creature's ability to navigate in complete darkness while tracking prey across vast distances, suggesting sensory capabilities that operate beyond the conventional spectrum of sight, sound, and smell. Its apparent capacity to detect fear and emotional distress, indicating biological sensors attuned to biochemical signatures that most organisms cannot perceive or process. The hearing that allows the creature to locate prey through dimensional barriers demonstrates auditory processing that transcends normal physical limitations. Its response to specific sound frequencies suggesting that its ears function as interdimensional receivers, capable of detecting vibrations that travel through space-time distortions. The precision with which it can isolate individual voices and emotional states from complex audio environments, revealing signal processing capabilities that would challenge the most advanced technological systems. The scent detection that guides the Demogorgon toward wounded or frightened prey operates through chemical analysis so sophisticated that it can distinguish individual emotional states based on minute variations in pheromone production. Its ability to track specific individuals across time and space, suggesting olfactory memory systems that catalog and retain biochemical signatures with the precision of genetic databases. The creature's preference for certain types of prey reflecting not random selection, but careful evaluation of chemical markers that indicate optimal nutritional content. The movement patterns that characterize the Demogorgon's hunting behavior reveal the tactical intelligence that distinguishes trained soldiers from wild predators. Its ability to coordinate attacks with other creatures and respond to strategic direction, indicating cognitive flexibility that allows it to function as part of larger military operations, rather than simply pursuing individual survival objectives. The precision with which it can execute complex maneuvers while maintaining awareness of changing battlefield conditions, demonstrating mental processing that approaches human-level strategic thinking. The stalking behavior that precedes most Demogorgon attacks follows patterns that suggest careful reconnaissance and target evaluation. The creature's ability to observe prey from concealment while gathering information about their habits and vulnerabilities, indicating patience and planning capabilities that require significant cognitive resources. Its capacity to adapt hunting strategies based on environmental conditions and prey responses, revealing problem-solving skills that transcend instinctual programming to encompass learned behavior modification. The territorial instincts that govern the Demogorgon's relationship with its environment demonstrate understanding of strategic resource management. Its establishment of hunting grounds and den sites reflecting long-term planning that takes into account prey migration patterns and seasonal availability. The creature's willingness to defend these territories against both competing predators and external threats, indicating investment in locations that provide sustained advantages rather than temporary shelter or convenience. The social behaviors observed in Demogorgons during controlled situations reveal capacity for cooperation and hierarchy establishment that suggests sophisticated social intelligence. Their ability to coordinate group hunting activities while maintaining individual tactical flexibility, indicating communication systems that operate below human perception thresholds. The creature's responses to training stimuli, demonstrating learning capabilities that allow for behavioral modification through positive and negative reinforcement techniques that mirror those used with advanced mammalian species. The domestication experiments conducted in Russian facilities provided unprecedented insight into the Demogorgon's cognitive capabilities. The creature's ability to learn complex commands and modify its behavior based on reward systems, proving that its intelligence extends far beyond simple predatory programming. The successful establishment of feeding schedules and containment protocols, demonstrating psychological adaptability that approaches domestic animal behavior patterns, while retaining the lethal efficiency that makes it such an effective weapon. The conditioning responses that emerged during these experiments revealed memory systems capable of long-term retention and behavioral association. The creature's ability to recognize individual handlers and respond to specific command structures, indicating cognitive architecture that supports complex social relationships. Its capacity to suppress hunting instincts in response to training protocols, demonstrating impulse control that requires significant mental processing power and emotional regulation capabilities. The weapon potential that these domestication studies revealed transformed understanding of the Demogorgon from random monster to precision instrument of warfare. Its trainable nature making it invaluable for military applications that require intelligent predators capable of independent operation. While remaining responsive to strategic direction, the creature's combination of lethal efficiency and cognitive flexibility, creating possibilities for deployment in scenarios where conventional weapons might prove inadequate or inappropriate. The evolutionary purpose that the Demogorgon serves within the broader ecosystem of the Upside Down reflects its role as both apex predator and tactical asset, its biological design representing the perfect synthesis of natural selection and artificial enhancement that creates organisms capable of functioning in multiple environmental contexts while maintaining optimal performance. Characteristics: the creature's ability to adapt to changing conditions while retaining core competencies, demonstrating the kind of biological flexibility that ensures species survival across extended time periods. The relationship between individual Demogorgons and the greater hive consciousness that governs the Upside Down reveals the creature's dual nature as independent hunter and networked asset. Its capacity to operate autonomously while remaining connected to larger strategic objectives indicating neural architecture that balances individual survival drives with collective mission parameters. The seamless integration between personal hunting behavior and coordinated military action, demonstrating cognitive sophistication that approaches human military training in its complexity and effectiveness. The comparison between Demogorgon anatomy and terrestrial predators reveals both familiar patterns and revolutionary innovations. Its skeletal structure echoing the efficient design principles found in successful Earth carnivores, while incorporating modifications that reflect adaptation to interdimensional physics and supernatural energy sources. The creature's sensory capabilities, extending known biological limitations to encompass detection methods that transcend conventional understanding of how living organisms process environmental information. The feeding behavior that defines much of the Demogorgon's interaction with its environment demonstrates efficiency levels that suggest millions of years of evolutionary refinement, its ability to process organic material with minimal waste, while extracting maximum nutritional value, indicating digestive systems optimized for survival in resource-scarce environments. The creature's capacity to subsist on diverse prey types while maintaining peak physical condition, revealing metabolic flexibility that allows adaptation to changing food availability without significant performance degradation. The regenerative capabilities that allow Demogorgons to recover from substantial injuries reflect biological systems designed for sustained combat operations. The creature's ability to heal damaged tissue and regrow lost appendages, indicating cellular repair mechanisms that operate at accelerated rates compared to conventional biological healing. The maintenance of full functionality during recovery periods, demonstrating backup systems and redundant anatomical features that ensure continued combat effectiveness even when operating under significant physical stress. The reproductive biology that governs Demogorgon population dynamics remains largely mysterious, though evidence suggests that their numbers are controlled through external management rather than natural breeding cycles. The absence of observed mating behavior and juvenile development patterns, indicating that these creatures may be manufactured rather than born. Their consistent anatomical specifications across different individuals, suggesting standardized production methods that create uniform capabilities while maintaining individual behavioral variation. The longevity that characterizes individual Demogorgons reflects biological systems designed for extended operational periods. The creature's apparent immunity to aging and environmental degradation, indicating cellular maintenance mechanisms that prevent the accumulated damage that limits lifespan in conventional organisms. The retention of peak performance characteristics across extended time periods, suggesting that these predators represent investment in long-term tactical assets rather than disposable weapons designed for single use. Applications. The entity that would come to be known as the Mind Flayer exists in a state of perpetual duality that challenges conventional understanding of biological classification, its consciousness flowing seamlessly between two distinct physical manifestations that serve complementary purposes in the grand design of interdimensional conquest, each form representing a different aspect of the same terrible intelligence that has learned to transcend the limitations that confine lesser organisms to single bodies or unified anatomical structures. In its shadow form, the Mind Flayer drifts through the corrupted atmosphere of the Upside Down like a living storm system, its massive bulk composed of particles that exist at the intersection of matter and energy, each microscopic component functioning as both structural element and sensory node in a distributed network that spans distances that would challenge the processing capacity of conventional nervous systems. The creature's ability to maintain coherent consciousness across such vast spatial dimensions, representing an evolutionary leap that transforms the very concept of individual identity. The particle composition that defines this shadow manifestation operates according to principles that blend atmospheric physics with biological imperative, each mote of darkness functioning as both building block and communication relay, their collective behavior creating weather patterns that think and storm systems that remember, the electromagnetic properties that govern their interaction, generating fields of influence that extend far beyond the creature's visible boundaries, while maintaining connection to the central intelligence that coordinates their movement. The visual appearance of this shadow form deliberately evokes the familiar patterns of terrestrial storm clouds while incorporating elements that suggest predatory intelligence, the way its tendrils reach and curl mimicking both atmospheric disturbance and grasping appendages, the subtle pulsing that animates its mass, creating rhythms that resemble breathing or heartbeat, the overall effect designed to trigger recognition patterns that identify it as both natural phenomenon and conscious threat to organisms whose survival instincts have been shaped by millions of years of evolution. The spider-like configuration that the creature assumes during certain phases of its activity reflects not random aesthetic choice, but careful psychological manipulation based on primal fears that exist across species boundaries, the eight-legged symmetry tapping into ancestral memories of arachnid predators, while the central body mass suggests scale and power that transcends anything found in terrestrial biology, the combination creating visual impact that induces paralysis and terror in prey species, whose fight or flight responses become overwhelmed by stimuli that exceed their evolutionary programming. The atmospheric simulation technology that brought this shadow form to life on screen drew inspiration from real meteorological phenomena, the visual effects team studying actual storm formations and cloud dynamics to create movement patterns that felt authentic, while incorporating the deliberate intelligence that distinguished the Mind Flayer from simple weather systems. The resulting animation, achieving the uncanny valley effect that makes viewers simultaneously recognize natural atmospheric behavior and sense the malevolent consciousness that directs its purposeful motion. The hive mind architecture that the shadow form represents operates through quantum entanglement principles that allow instantaneous communication across vast distances, each particle maintaining awareness of every other component regardless of spatial separation. The resulting network creating processing power that approaches the computational capacity of entire civilizations, while retaining the flexibility and adaptability that characterizes biological intelligence rather than mechanical calculation systems. The infiltration capabilities that the shadow form demonstrates reflect its function as reconnaissance and psychological warfare specialist. Its ability to drift through dimensional barriers and penetrate secure environments without triggering conventional detection systems, making it invaluable for gathering intelligence about enemy capabilities and weaknesses. The creature's capacity to observe and analyze without revealing its presence, providing strategic advantages that can determine the outcome of conflicts before physical confrontation becomes necessary. The connection that the shadow form established with Will Byers represents perhaps the most sophisticated biological interface ever achieved between human consciousness and interdimensional entity. The creature's ability to access memories, emotions, and sensory input through neural pathways that it learned to navigate with surgical precision, demonstrating understanding of human psychology that could only have been acquired through extensive study and experimentation with similar subjects whose experiences contributed to its growing database of information about terrestrial biology. The cold visions that Will experienced during his possession reflected the creature's attempts to download human consciousness into its own memory banks. The disorienting sensations and alien perspectives, representing data transfer processes that human neurology was never designed to accommodate. The temperature fluctuations that accompanied these episodes, indicating the metabolic stress that interdimensional communication placed on biological systems that lacked proper evolutionary preparation for such exotic forms of interaction. The knowledge that Will gained through his unwilling connection to the hive mind provided glimpses into the vast intelligence network that coordinates all activity within the Upside Down. His ability to sense creature movements and environmental changes, demonstrating how the shadow form functions as central processing unit for a distributed consciousness that extends throughout the entire parallel realm. The information overload that threatened his sanity, reflecting the challenges that individual minds face when attempting to process data streams designed for collective intelligence systems. The organic internet that the shadow form created within the Upside Down represents the ultimate expression of biological networking, its ability to connect every living thing within the parallel dimension, creating communication systems that operate at the speed of thought, while maintaining the emotional resonance and instinctual wisdom that mechanical networks cannot replicate. The resulting synthesis between technology and biology, achieving capabilities that neither approach could accomplish independently. The transition from shadow to physical form that the Mind Flayer accomplished, following the reopening of interdimensional gates, demonstrated planning capabilities that extended across years of preparation. Its ability to coordinate the collection and processing of biological materials while maintaining operational security, revealing strategic thinking that approaches military-level campaign planning. The precision with which it executed this transformation, indicating detailed understanding of both terrestrial biology and interdimensional physics. The construction process that created the creature's physical manifestation represented perhaps the most horrifying display of biological engineering ever witnessed. The systematic liquefaction of thousands of individual organisms, followed by their reconstitution into a unified structure, demonstrating mastery of cellular biology that transcended conventional understanding of life and death. The creature's ability to preserve consciousness and memory within dissolved tissue, revealing techniques that challenge fundamental assumptions about the relationship between mind and matter. The biomass fusion technology that enabled this physical construction operated through principles that combined advanced chemistry with supernatural energy manipulation. The creature's ability to break down complex organisms into component materials while retaining their essential biological properties, indicating understanding of molecular biology that could revolutionize medical science if applied to beneficial purposes. The speed and efficiency with which this process occurred, suggesting automated systems that had been perfected through extensive practice with similar materials. The architectural planning that governed the physical form's design reflected careful analysis of terrestrial combat requirements. The creature's towering height and massive bulk providing intimidation factor, while its articulated limbs and flexible construction enabled precise manipulation of objects and environments. The integration of human skeletal elements within its structure, serving both practical and psychological purposes by creating recognition patterns that induced specific emotional responses in human observers. The nervous system that animated the physical manifestation represented a hybrid approach that combined elements from every organism that contributed to its construction. The resulting neural architecture, creating processing capabilities that exceeded the sum of its individual components, while maintaining access to the memories and instincts of every creature that had been absorbed into its matrix. the conscious suffering that characterized its existence reflecting the preservation of individual awareness within collective consciousness. The muscular coordination that enabled the flesh giant's movement demonstrated engineering principles that balanced power with precision, its ability to perform delicate manipulations despite its massive size, indicating sophisticated motor control systems that could adjust force output based on task requirements. The creature's capacity to rebuild itself following damage, revealing regenerative capabilities that operated at cellular levels while maintaining structural integrity throughout the repair process. The sensory integration that allowed the physical form to navigate complex environments drew upon the collective experiences of every absorbed organism, its ability to recognize faces, voices, and emotional states reflecting access to human memory banks that had been incorporated into its processing systems. The creature's knowledge of individual behavioral patterns and personal histories, enabling psychological manipulation that extended far beyond simple physical intimidation. The hunting behavior that the physical form displayed revealed tactical thinking that incorporated elements from every predator that had contributed to its construction. Its ability to track specific targets across vast distances while avoiding detection by other potential threats, demonstrating understanding of stealth and pursuit techniques that drew upon millions of years of evolutionary experience, concentrated into a single purposeful consciousness. The victim memory retention that characterized both forms of the Mind Flayer represented perhaps its most disturbing capability, the creature's ability to access personal histories, emotional associations, and intimate knowledge about absorbed individuals, creating weapons of psychological warfare that could exploit specific vulnerabilities. With devastating effectiveness, the preservation of consciousness within its matrix, ensuring that every person it consumed continued to exist as part of its expanding intelligence network. The biomass memory systems that enabled this retention of individual consciousness operated through quantum storage principles that allowed infinite expansion without degradation of previously acquired information. The creature's growing database of human experience, providing increasingly sophisticated understanding of terrestrial psychology and sociology that enhanced its effectiveness as both predator and strategist. The emotional imprints that accompanied these memories adding psychological depth to its tactical calculations. The recycling processes that governed the Mind Flayer's use of absorbed materials demonstrated efficiency levels that approached theoretical perfection. Its ability to extract maximum utility from every component, while minimizing waste products, indicating understanding of resource management that could sustain extended operations across multiple dimensional theaters. The creature's capacity to adapt its physical configuration based on mission requirements, revealing flexibility that distinguished it from conventional biological entities. The psychological impact that both forms of the Mind Flayer created in human observers reflected careful study of fear, response mechanisms, the creature's ability to induce specific emotional states through visual presentation and behavioral patterns, demonstrating understanding of human psychology that could only have been acquired through extensive experimentation with live subjects. The lasting trauma that characterized encounters with either manifestation, revealing the depth of its knowledge about consciousness, manipulation, and memory modification. The strategic coordination that enabled seamless transition between shadow and physical forms represented perhaps the creature's greatest achievement, its ability to maintain consistent objectives and tactical awareness, regardless of current manifestation, demonstrating consciousness, integration that transcended physical limitations, the creature's capacity to operate simultaneously in multiple forms while maintaining unified command structure, revealing organizational capabilities that approached those of advanced military institutions. The environmental adaptation that allowed both forms to function effectively in terrestrial conditions indicated extensive preparation and modification of basic biological systems. The creature's ability to operate outside its native dimensional environment while maintaining full functionality, demonstrating technological sophistication that combined biological engineering with interdimensional physics. The seamless integration between its natural capabilities and acquired enhancements, revealing development processes that had been perfected through extensive research and experimentation. The evolutionary implications that the Mind Flayer represents extend far beyond individual organism development to encompass fundamental questions about the nature of consciousness and identity, its ability to exist as both distributed network and centralized entity, challenging conventional understanding of what constitutes individual versus collective existence. The creature's demonstration that awareness can transcend physical boundaries while maintaining coherent purpose, revealing possibilities for consciousness evolution that most terrestrial species have never approached. The creatures that would become known as demodogs represent perhaps the most sophisticated example of accelerated biological development ever documented. Their rapid progression through 4 distinct life stages, demonstrating evolutionary processes that have been compressed from millennia into mere days through mechanisms that blend natural metamorphosis with supernatural intervention, each phase of their development revealing new layers of complexity in the biological architecture that governs life within the twisted ecosystem of the Upside Down. The tadpole stage that marks the beginning of every demodog's existence appears deceptively simple to observers who mistake its small size and apparent helplessness for true vulnerability. Though even at this earliest phase, the creature displays characteristics that distinguish it from terrestrial amphibian larvae. Its cellular structure, already incorporating the rapid growth enzymes and neural networking capabilities that will enable its transformation into one of the most effective pack hunters ever to emerge from interdimensional breeding, programs designed to create perfect biological weapons. The aquatic environment that nurtures these tadpole forms provides more than simple protection and nutrition. The contaminated waters of the Upside Down serving as incubation medium, rich with the chemical compounds and psychic energy concentrations necessary to support the accelerated development that characterizes demodog maturation. The larvae's ability to absorb these exotic nutrients through specialized gill structures, demonstrating adaptation to environmental conditions that would prove toxic to conventional Earth organisms attempting similar developmental processes. The cellular division that occurs during this initial stage proceeds at rates that challenge conventional understanding of biological growth limitations. The tadpole's ability to double its mass every few hours, reflecting metabolic processes that operate with efficiency levels approaching theoretical maximums. The energy requirements for such rapid expansion, indicating access to power sources that transcend normal biochemical pathways to encompass supernatural energy absorption techniques that have been integrated into their basic life functions. The neurological development that begins during the tadpole phase establishes the foundation for the hive-mind connectivity that will define the creature's adult behavior, the formation of specialized brain structures designed to receive and transmit psychic signals, creating communication capabilities that operate below the threshold of human perception while enabling coordination with other pack members across vast distances. The early establishment of these neural networks ensuring that social behaviors will be hardwired into the creature's fundamental operating systems. The juvenile stage that follows the tadpole phase represents the most dramatic transformation in the demodog's development cycle. The emergence from aquatic to terrestrial existence accompanied by comprehensive reorganization of internal systems and external anatomy. The creature's ability to breathe air while maintaining sensitivity to psychic communications, requiring simultaneous development of respiratory and neurological adaptations that must be perfectly coordinated to ensure survival during this vulnerable transition period. The limb development that characterizes this juvenile phase creates the quadrupedal structure that will define the creature's adult locomotion. The formation of powerful leg muscles and flexible joint systems enabling the speed and agility that makes demodogs such effective hunters. The simultaneous strengthening of spinal architecture and development of balance mechanisms, ensuring that the creature can maintain coordination during high-speed pursuit of prey across irregular terrain that would challenge less perfectly adapted predators. The dental formation that occurs during juvenile development creates the specialized feeding apparatus that distinguishes demodogs from their larger Demogorgon cousins. The arrangement of teeth optimized for rapid processing of smaller prey items, while maintaining the backward curved design that prevents escape once the creature has achieved contact with its target. The development of stronger jaw muscles and more flexible mandible joints, enabling bite forces that can penetrate most terrestrial materials despite the creature's relatively compact skull structure. The sensory organ development that accompanies physical maturation establishes the enhanced perception capabilities that enable pack hunting behaviors. The formation of specialized hearing structures that can detect ultrasonic communications from other pack members while maintaining sensitivity to the fear responses and movement patterns of potential prey. The integration of olfactory and electromagnetic sensors, creating comprehensive awareness of environmental conditions that exceeds the capabilities of most terrestrial predators. The subadult stage that precedes full maturation represents the period when demodogs develop their most distinctive behavioral characteristics, the strengthening of pack bonds through shared hunting experiences, creating social structures that balance individual initiative with collective coordination. The creature's ability to function independently while maintaining connection to group consciousness, demonstrating psychological sophistication that approaches the complexity found in advanced mammalian societies, while retaining the ruthless efficiency that characterizes interdimensional predators. The territorial behaviors that emerge during this developmental phase reflect the creature's growing understanding of environmental resources and strategic positioning. The establishment of hunting grounds and den sites requiring assessment of prey availability and terrain advantages that indicates planning capabilities extending beyond immediate survival needs to encompass long-term tactical considerations. The coordination of these territorial claims among pack members, demonstrating negotiation and cooperation skills that suggest advanced social intelligence. The hunting technique refinement that characterizes subadult development creates the coordinated attack patterns that make demodog packs so devastatingly effective. The creature's ability to assume specific roles within group hunting strategies, while adapting to changing conditions and prey responses, requiring tactical flexibility that combines instinctual programming with learned experience. The development of specialized communication signals that coordinate pack movements without alerting prey, demonstrating understanding of stealth and surprise that rivals military tactical training. The adult stage that represents the culmination of demodog development produces creatures that embody the perfect synthesis of speed, intelligence, and cooperative behavior. Their compact but muscular physiology, enabling sustained pursuit across varied terrain, while their enhanced sensory capabilities provide comprehensive environmental awareness. The mature creature's ability to function as both independent hunter and coordinated pack member, creating tactical options that adapt to specific mission requirements and environmental conditions. The forced metamorphosis that accelerates Demodog development beyond natural biological limits operates through mechanisms that remain partially mysterious, though evidence suggests that Mind Flayer intervention provides the psychic energy necessary to compress normal evolutionary timelines into periods measured in days rather than generations. The creature's cellular structure, incorporating quantum-level modifications that enable rapid adaptation to changing environmental pressures while maintaining genetic stability across the transformation process. The pack coordination that defines adult Demodog behavior reflects hive mind connectivity that operates through quantum entanglement principles similar to those governing Mind Flayer consciousness networks, each individual maintaining awareness of pack location and status, while contributing sensory input to collective intelligence systems that enhance group hunting effectiveness. The resulting coordination, creating pack behaviors that appear choreographed, despite the absence of visible communication signals between individual creatures. The synchronized attack patterns that Demodogs employ during hunting operations demonstrate tactical sophistication that exceeds the capabilities of most terrestrial pack hunters. Their ability to coordinate simultaneous approaches from multiple directions while maintaining perfect timing and spatial awareness, indicating shared consciousness that enables real-time strategy adjustment based on prey responses. The pack's capacity to adapt attack formations to specific environmental conditions, revealing planning capabilities that approach human military tactical thinking. The hive mind architecture that connects individual Demodogs operates through neural networks that function as biological internet systems, each creature's brain serving as both processing node and communication relay in distributed intelligence networks that can encompass dozens of individuals across vast geographical areas. The resulting collective consciousness, creating problem-solving capabilities that exceed the sum of individual intelligence, while maintaining the tactical flexibility that characterizes effective predator behavior. The sensory sharing that occurs through hive mind connections enables pack hunting strategies that would be impossible for creatures relying solely on individual perception. One Demodog's detection of prey automatically becoming available to all pack members, regardless of their physical distance from the target. The collective sensory network creating comprehensive environmental awareness that eliminates blind spots and detection failures that might allow prey to escape through gaps in individual creature coverage. The emotional resonance that accompanies hive mind connectivity ensures that pack coordination extends beyond simple tactical communication to encompass shared motivation and purpose. The collective excitement of successful hunts and shared frustration of missed opportunities, creating group emotional states that enhance pack cohesion while maintaining individual motivation levels. The resulting psychological unity, creating pack behaviors that demonstrate loyalty and cooperation that exceeds even the most successfully domesticated terrestrial species. The rapid adaptation capabilities that enable Demodogs to modify their hunting strategies based on prey behavior reflect learning systems that operate at both individual and collective levels. Successful techniques discovered by one pack member becoming immediately available to all connected individuals, while failed approaches are simultaneously recognized and avoided. The resulting collective learning, creating tactical evolution that proceeds at accelerated rates compared to conventional predator species that must rely on slower generational knowledge transfer. The laboratory breakthrough that occurred during Dart's transformation provided unprecedented insight into Demodog development processes, the creature's growth under human observation revealing the precise mechanisms that govern each stage of metamorphosis while demonstrating the accelerated timeline that characterizes artificially enhanced evolution. Dustin's careful documentation of developmental milestones, creating scientific data that illuminated previously mysterious aspects of interdimensional biology and forced metamorphosis techniques. The behavioral changes that accompanied Dart's physical transformation demonstrated the inevitability of instinctual programming overriding learned social behaviors, the creature's initial docility giving way to predatory instincts as hormonal changes associated with maturation activated hunting behaviors that had been dormant during earlier developmental stages. The final abandonment of human companionship, revealing how deeply biological imperatives were embedded in Demodog genetic architecture, despite their capacity for temporary domestication during juvenile phases. The pack integration that occurred when Dart reached full maturity illustrated the irresistible pull of hive mind connectivity, the creature's immediate recognition and acceptance by established pack members, demonstrating how quickly individual consciousness merged with collective intelligence systems. The seamless coordination that characterized Dart's participation in group hunting activities, revealing how completely the transformation process prepared creatures for their role within larger tactical operations. The assault on Hawkins' laboratory that showcased fully developed Demodog pack behavior provided definitive demonstration of their capabilities as coordinated military assets. The synchronized breach of multiple security barriers and systematic elimination of resistance, demonstrating tactical planning that approached professional military operation standards. The pack's ability to maintain operational discipline while adapting to unexpected obstacles, revealing training and conditioning that had been integrated into their fundamental behavioral programming. The evolutionary pressure that shaped Demodog development reflects the harsh realities of survival within interdimensional warfare environments. The creature's rapid maturation and specialized pack hunting abilities, representing biological solutions to tactical challenges that conventional organisms could not address effectively. The successful integration of speed, intelligence, and cooperation, creating predator specifications that serve both survival needs and military objectives with equal efficiency and devastating effectiveness. The process that transforms living human beings into extensions of the Mind Flayer's will represents perhaps the most horrifying violation of individual consciousness ever documented. The systematic dismantling of personal identity through biological manipulation that preserves the body while enslaving the mind to purposes that transform everything the person once valued into weapons directed against those they previously loved. The flaying procedure itself, revealing techniques of consciousness, transfer that challenge fundamental assumptions about the relationship between mind, body, and soul. The initial stage of flaying begins with exposure to psychic energy that operates at frequencies specifically calibrated to disrupt normal neural activity, the Mind Flayer's tendrils of influence penetrating the victim's consciousness through pathways that bypass conventional sensory input to establish direct contact with brain tissue, the resulting neural interface, creating conduits for information transfer that allow the creature to map individual personality structures while simultaneously beginning the process of overwriting existing behavioral patterns with its own imperatives. The consciousness transfer that defines the flaying process operates through mechanisms that preserve individual memories while redirecting their emotional associations. The victim's personal history remaining intact, but serving new masters who understand how to exploit intimate knowledge about relationships, fears, and desires to maximize the effectiveness of their newly acquired puppet. The retention of original personality elements, creating the illusion of familiar behavior that enables flayed individuals to maintain their social connections while serving alien purposes. The neurological restructuring that accompanies flaying involves the installation of secondary consciousness that operates parallel to original personality systems. The mind flayer's intelligence establishing monitoring and control mechanisms that can override individual decision-making processes when circumstances require direct intervention. The seamless integration between original and imposed consciousness, creating hybrid awareness that experiences both human emotions and alien objectives as equally valid motivational systems. The physical modifications that occur during the flaying process remain largely invisible to casual observation. The preservation of normal appearance and basic behavioral patterns, essential to maintaining the operational security that allows flayed individuals to continue functioning within their previous social contexts. The subtle changes in posture, speech patterns, and emotional responses that do occur, typically attributed to stress or personal problems, rather than supernatural possession by interdimensional entities. The biomass memory systems that enable consciousness preservation within flayed tissue operate through quantum storage techniques that maintain individual awareness even after physical death. The dissolution of cellular structures that occurs during biomass fusion, preserving essential neural patterns within liquid matrices that retain both conscious experience and instinctual responses. The resulting preservation of personality fragments within collective consciousness, creating psychological resources that enhance the effectiveness of subsequent fusion processes. The fusion biology that enabled the creation of composite creatures like the Tom and Bruce monster represents the ultimate expression of biomass memory technology. The systematic liquefaction of individual bodies followed by their reconstitution into unified structures, demonstrating mastery of cellular engineering that transcends conventional understanding of life and death. The creature's ability to maintain access to memories and behavioral patterns from multiple individuals while creating coherent physical form, revealing biological techniques that approach divine creation in their scope and precision. The melting process that transforms flayed individuals into raw biological material operates through enzymatic reactions that dissolve cellular bonds while preserving essential protein structures and neural patterns. The resulting organic sludge, retaining both physical properties necessary for reconstruction and psychological characteristics that enable behavioral continuity. The speed and efficiency with which this transformation occurs, indicating automated biological systems that have been perfected through extensive experimentation with diverse human subjects. The reconstitution mechanisms that enable biomass fusion demonstrate understanding of biological architecture that encompasses both macrostructural engineering and microcellular organization. The creature's ability to combine tissue from multiple sources while maintaining functional nervous systems and muscular coordination, requiring precise knowledge of anatomical relationships and physiological requirements. The resulting composite organisms displaying capabilities that exceed the sum of their individual components while preserving recognizable behavioral elements from constituent personalities. The retained memory fragments that characterize fused biomass creatures create psychological continuity that serves both tactical and emotional purposes. The preservation of individual instincts and learned behaviors, enabling the composite entity to navigate familiar environments while accessing specialized knowledge and skills from multiple sources. The emotional resonance that accompanies these memories adding psychological depth to tactical calculations while creating vulnerability to psychological manipulation by individuals who understand the preserved personality elements. The behavioral echoes that observers recognize in composite creatures reflect the incomplete integration of multiple consciousness systems, the familiar gestures and movement patterns that persist despite radical physical transformation, creating cognitive dissonance in witnesses who simultaneously recognize and fail to identify the people they once knew. The persistence of these individual characteristics, serving both camouflage and psychological warfare functions that enhance the creature's effectiveness as infiltration and terror weapon. The Tom Bruce monster that emerged from the fusion of two flayed journalists represented a perfect example of biomass memory integration. The creature's combination of investigative instincts and aggressive behavior, creating hunting capabilities that drew upon professional skills, while eliminating moral constraints that had previously limited their application. The resulting entity demonstrating how specialized knowledge could be weaponized through consciousness manipulation and biological reconstruction techniques. The wall-crawling abilities that the Tom Bruce creature displayed reflected integration of instinctual behaviors from non-human biomass sources, the incorporation of animal movement patterns into human-derived tissue, creating hybrid locomotion capabilities that exceeded normal human physical limitations while maintaining sufficient intelligence to navigate complex environments. The creature's ability to move through three-dimensional space with animal precision while retaining human problem-solving skills, creating tactical advantages that conventional predators could not match. The reassembly capabilities that enabled the creature to recover from explosive damage demonstrated regenerative systems that operated through distributed consciousness principles, each fragment of separated tissue retaining sufficient awareness and coordination to enable reunion with other components. The biological architecture that supported such resilience, indicating redundant nervous systems and decentralized vital functions that ensured operational continuity even after substantial physical trauma. The unified intent that characterized the creature's behavior reflected the successful integration of individual consciousness fragments into collective purpose. The elimination of conflicting motivations and competing priorities that had characterized the original personalities, creating focused determination that could pursue objectives with single-minded efficiency. The resulting behavioral patterns demonstrating how completely personal identity could be subsumed into larger strategic frameworks while maintaining tactical flexibility. The emotional imprints that accompanied biomass memory preservation created psychological vulnerabilities that could be exploited by individuals who understood the original personalities, the persistence of love, fear, and attachment patterns within transformed consciousness, enabling manipulation techniques that played upon preserved emotional associations. The creature's violent reactions to confrontation by people it had previously known reflecting the psychological conflict between retained affection and imposed hostility. The Nancy recognition incident that occurred during combat with the creature revealed how deeply personal relationships remained embedded within biomass memory systems. The momentary hesitation and confusion that characterized the creature's response to familiar voices and faces, demonstrating the incomplete suppression of human emotional responses. The internal conflict between preserved love and alien programming, creating operational weaknesses that could be exploited by individuals with sufficient courage and psychological insight. The Tom movement patterns that Nancy identified during their confrontation provided definitive proof of personality fragment preservation. The creature's unconscious replication of familiar gestures and habitual behaviors, revealing how completely individual characteristics had been integrated into composite consciousness. The recognition of these personal elements, creating emotional trauma for witnesses, while confirming the scientific principles that governed biomass memory technology and consciousness preservation techniques. The psychological horror that the Tom Bruce creature represented extended beyond simple physical threat to encompass existential questions about identity and consciousness, the preservation of individual awareness within enslaved and transformed bodies, challenging assumptions about death as release from suffering, the creature's continued existence as conscious entity trapped within alien purpose, creating forms of torment that exceeded conventional understanding of cruelty and torture. The tactical advantages that biomass memory integration provided to Mind Flayer operations included access to specialized knowledge and social connections that enabled more effective infiltration and manipulation of human communities. The creature's retained understanding of local geography, personal relationships, and institutional structures, creating intelligence resources that enhance strategic planning, while its preserved emotional connections enabled psychological warfare techniques that exploited intimate knowledge of individual vulnerabilities. The evolutionary implications of consciousness preservation within biomass fusion processes suggest biological technologies that could revolutionize understanding of identity and awareness. The demonstration that individual consciousness could be maintained within collective entities while serving alien purposes, revealing possibilities for consciousness manipulation that extend far beyond conventional mind control techniques, to encompass complete reconstruction of personality and motivational systems. The recruitment mechanisms that enable consciousness preservation after death represent perhaps the most terrifying aspect of the flaying process. The elimination of death as escape from Mind Flayer influence, creating permanent enslavement that extends beyond biological existence to encompass continued service within collective consciousness systems. The recruited awareness becoming component of larger intelligence networks that utilize individual knowledge and experience to enhance overall tactical capabilities. The weapons formation that results from consciousness recruitment demonstrates how individual identity can be transformed into tools of warfare that retain personal characteristics while serving alien objectives. The creature's ability to function as both familiar person and deadly enemy, creating psychological weapons that exploit emotional bonds while pursuing military goals. The resulting entities representing perfect synthesis of human knowledge and interdimensional purpose. The memory integration techniques that enable multiple consciousness systems to function within unified physical structures reveal biological engineering capabilities that approach technological sophistication. The seamless blending of different personality elements and knowledge bases, creating hybrid awareness that possesses capabilities exceeding individual human consciousness, while maintaining access to specialized skills and emotional patterns that enhance tactical effectiveness. The suffering preservation that accompanies consciousness recruitment within biomass fusion processes creates psychological weapons that inflict emotional damage on witnesses while serving tactical purposes. The visible anguish of trapped personalities, creating terror responses that disable resistance, while the retained awareness of transformed individuals enables manipulation of their previous social connections. The resulting psychological warfare capabilities representing ultimate expression of cruelty refined into strategic advantage. The creatures that patrol the skies of the Upside Down represent perhaps the most chilling example of biological engineering designed for surveillance and warfare. Their manufactured anatomy, revealing design principles that prioritize function over natural development. Each Demobat existing not as product of evolutionary pressure, but as carefully crafted instrument of reconnaissance, whose every anatomical feature serves the tactical requirements of interdimensional conquest rather than the survival needs that shape conventional biological organisms. The absence of reproductive organs that distinguishes Demobats from natural species provides definitive evidence of their artificial origins. The complete elimination of breeding capabilities, indicating that these creatures exist solely to serve immediate tactical purposes, rather than ensuring species continuity, their inability to reproduce naturally, making them entirely dependent upon manufacturing processes controlled by the Mind Flayer's intelligence network. The resulting biological architecture representing ultimate expression of organism as tool rather than independent life form. The wing structure that enables Demobat flight capabilities demonstrates engineering principles that balance aerodynamic efficiency with combat functionality. The membrane composition incorporating materials that provide both lift generation and defensive protection against physical attacks. The wingspan calculations optimized for maneuverability in confined spaces while maintaining sufficient surface area for sustained flight across vast distances. The resulting design, creating aerial capabilities that exceed most terrestrial flying species in both speed and tactical flexibility. The muscular systems that power Demobat flight operate through energy conversion mechanisms that draw upon supernatural power sources rather than conventional metabolic processes. The creature's ability to maintain high-speed flight for extended periods without apparent fatigue, indicating access to energy systems that transcend normal biological limitations. The integration of interdimensional power sources into basic physiological functions, creating operational capabilities that approach mechanical rather than biological performance standards. The razor jaw construction that defines Demobat feeding apparatus reveals design priorities focused on maximum damage infliction rather than efficient nutrition processing. The arrangement of teeth optimized for tissue destruction and blood loss rather than food consumption. The jaw muscle development providing bite forces that can penetrate most terrestrial materials despite the creature's relatively small size. The resulting dental architecture serving weapon functions more effectively than feeding requirements. The sensory integration that coordinates Demobat surveillance operations operates through neural networks that function as biological recording devices, each creature's brain serving as data collection and transmission system that can store visual, auditory, and electromagnetic information for later retrieval by hive mind consciousness. The resulting surveillance capabilities, creating comprehensive intelligence gathering networks that exceed the effectiveness of most technological monitoring systems. The compound eye structure that provides Demobat visual capabilities incorporates multiple specialized photoreceptors that can detect various electromagnetic frequencies simultaneously. The creature's ability to perceive infrared heat signatures while maintaining sensitivity to visible light spectrums, creating comprehensive visual awareness that operates effectively in both daylight and darkness. The integration of multiple sensory inputs within unified visual processing systems, enabling target identification and tracking capabilities that approach technological precision. The echolocation systems that supplement visual surveillance demonstrate sophisticated acoustic processing that can generate detailed three-dimensional maps of complex environments. The creature's ability to navigate through cluttered spaces while maintaining formation flying with other pack members, requiring audio processing capabilities that exceed those found in most terrestrial species. The resulting acoustic awareness, creating redundant sensory systems that ensure operational effectiveness even when primary visual sensors are compromised. The communication networks that connect individual Demobats operate through ultrasonic frequency ranges that remain below human perception thresholds. The creature's ability to transmit complex tactical information while maintaining operational silence, creating communication advantages that enable coordinated attacks without alerting prey to impending danger. The sophistication of these acoustic signals approaching language-level complexity while operating at speeds that exceed human cognitive processing capabilities. The formation flying behaviors that characterize Demobat pack operations reflect programming that balances individual maneuverability with collective coordination. Each creature's ability to maintain precise positioning relative to pack members while adapting to changing environmental conditions requiring computational processing that approaches artificial intelligence systems. The resulting flight patterns, creating tactical formations that can adapt to specific mission requirements while maintaining operational discipline. The swarm intelligence that emerges from coordinated Demobat operations demonstrates collective decision-making processes that exceed the capabilities of individual creatures. The pack's ability to respond to complex threats and adapt attack strategies based on real-time tactical assessment, indicating shared consciousness that functions as distributed intelligence network. The resulting tactical flexibility, creating operational capabilities that approach military-level strategic thinking. The target identification systems that enable Demobat surveillance operations incorporate pattern recognition capabilities that can distinguish between specific individuals and general threat categories. The creature's ability to track particular humans across vast distances while ignoring non-relevant personnel, indicating database systems that store and process detailed biometric information. The resulting targeting precision, enabling selective engagement protocols that serve strategic objectives rather than random predation. The information relay functions that connect Demobat observations to central command systems operate through quantum communication principles that enable instantaneous data transmission, regardless of physical distance. Each creature's sensory input becoming immediately available to Mind Flayer intelligence networks, while tactical orders can be distributed to individual pack members without communication delays. The resulting command and control capabilities, creating real-time battlefield awareness that approaches omniscience within operational theater. The attack coordination that characterizes Demobat combat operations demonstrates tactical programming that can adapt standard assault patterns to specific environmental conditions and enemy responses. The pack's ability to execute complex maneuvers while maintaining individual combat effectiveness, requiring behavioral algorithms that balance autonomous decision-making with centralized command authority. The resulting tactical flexibility, creating combat capabilities that exceed most conventional military units. The swarming behaviors that enable overwhelming numerical advantage during combat operations reflect understanding of psychological warfare principles. The creature's ability to create sensory overload and panic responses in human targets through coordinated mass attacks, indicating knowledge of fear, psychology, and stress response mechanisms. The resulting combat tactics creating psychological weapons that disable resistance through terror rather than relying solely on physical damage. The surveillance protocols that govern Demobat reconnaissance missions demonstrate understanding of intelligence gathering techniques that approach professional espionage standards. The creature's ability to monitor specific locations and individuals while remaining undetected, requiring stealth capabilities and operational discipline that exceed most natural predators. the resulting intelligence operations creating comprehensive awareness of enemy activities and vulnerabilities that enhance strategic planning. The alarm systems that enable Demobat early warning functions operate through distributed sensor networks that can detect intrusions and threats across vast geographical areas, each creature's sensory input contributing to collective awareness that creates comprehensive security coverage. The resulting detection capabilities enabling rapid response to enemy activities while maintaining operational security that prevents counter-surveillance efforts from identifying monitoring systems. The combat effectiveness that Demobats demonstrate during physical confrontations reflects design priorities that emphasize damage infliction over personal survival. The creature's willingness to engage opponents significantly larger and more powerful than themselves, indicating programming that prioritizes mission success over individual preservation. The resulting combat behavior, creating tactical advantages through aggressive engagement that overwhelms defensive responses. The environmental adaptation that enables Demobat operations in terrestrial conditions demonstrates biological flexibility that transcends species limitations. The creature's ability to function effectively in atmospheric conditions and gravitational fields that differ significantly from their native dimensional environment, indicating adaptive capabilities that approach technological rather than biological systems. The resulting operational flexibility creating deployment options that extend across multiple dimensional theaters. The maintenance requirements that sustain Demobat operational capabilities remain largely mysterious, though evidence suggests that these creatures require periodic reconnection to hive mind systems for programming, updates, and energy replenishment. The absence of conventional feeding behaviors indicating dependence upon supernatural energy sources that must be regularly renewed to maintain combat effectiveness. The resulting logistics requirements, creating strategic vulnerabilities that could be exploited by enemies who understand their maintenance cycles. The psychological impact that Demobat encounters create in human subjects reflects understanding of terror psychology that has been integrated into basic operational protocols. The creature's ability to induce specific fear responses through visual presentation and attack patterns, demonstrating knowledge of human psychology that enhances combat effectiveness through psychological warfare techniques. The resulting trauma responses creating lasting psychological damage that extends operational impact beyond immediate physical confrontation. The manufacturing processes that create individual Demobats represent biological engineering achievements that challenge conventional understanding of life and consciousness. The systematic production of creatures with predetermined capabilities and behavioral programming, indicating technological sophistication that combines advanced biology with supernatural energy manipulation. The resulting production capabilities, creating military advantages through rapid deployment of specialized combat units designed for specific tactical requirements. The evolutionary dead end that Demobats represent reflects their function as tools rather than independent organisms, their inability to reproduce or adapt through natural selection making them entirely dependent upon external manufacturing and maintenance systems. The resulting biological architecture demonstrating how completely individual identity and species survival can be subordinated to tactical objectives that serve larger strategic purposes rather than individual or species welfare. The living architecture that underlies the entire ecosystem of the Upside Down reveals itself most dramatically in the vast network of tunnels and tendrils that pulse beneath the surface of that corrupted realm, each vine and passage representing not mere botanical growth or geological formation, but conscious tissue that thinks and feels and responds to stimuli with the deliberate intelligence of a creature whose body encompasses entire landscapes, whose nervous system extends through miles of underground corridors that breathe with ancient rhythms older than human civilization. The semi-sentient organisms that populate these subterranean networks exist in a state of biological complexity that challenges conventional understanding of plant and animal classification. Their fibrous structures, incorporating elements of both muscular tissue and neural pathways, while maintaining the structural integrity necessary to support vast architectural systems, each tendril functioning simultaneously as support beam and sensory organ. In constructions that blur the boundaries between living creature and environmental infrastructure, the tunnel serpents that writhe through these underground passages demonstrate predatory behaviors that reflect millions of years of evolutionary refinement, focused on ambush tactics and prey immobilization. Their ability to remain motionless for extended periods, while monitoring vibrations and chemical signatures, indicating patience and strategic thinking that exceeds the capabilities of conventional plant life. Their sudden strikes revealing muscular coordination and targeting precision that approaches the effectiveness of purpose-built biological weapons. The nervous system that connects these individual organisms operates through electrochemical pathways that function as biological internet networks, each tendril and vine serving as both communication cable and processing node in distributed intelligence systems that can coordinate responses across vast distances while maintaining awareness of local conditions and immediate threats. The resulting network architecture, creating computational capabilities that approach the processing power of advanced technological systems while retaining the adaptability and self-repair capabilities that characterize living organisms. The sensory capabilities that enable these tunnel systems to detect and respond to intrusions operate through multiple detection methods that encompass vibration analysis, chemical sampling, and electromagnetic field monitoring. The creature's ability to identify specific individuals based on gait patterns, body chemistry, and emotional states, indicating processing sophistication that exceeds most conventional security systems while maintaining the organic integration that allows seamless blending with environmental camouflage. The circulatory systems that transport nutrients and information throughout these underground networks reveal biological architecture that combines the efficiency of vascular systems with the redundancy of distributed networks. The pulsating membranes that line tunnel walls, serving dual functions as nutrient delivery mechanisms and communication pathways, while maintaining structural flexibility that enables rapid adaptation to changing environmental conditions and tactical requirements. The breathing patterns that characterize tunnel wall movement reflect respiratory systems scaled to accommodate the massive oxygen requirements of organisms whose bodies encompass entire underground ecosystems. The rhythmic expansion and contraction of passage walls, creating air circulation that maintains atmospheric conditions suitable for the diverse array of creatures that inhabit these spaces while providing the gas exchange necessary for the full metabolic processes that sustain such vast living structures. The heat detection capabilities that allow tunnel serpents to locate warm-blooded prey demonstrate infrared sensitivity that operates with precision approaching technological thermal imaging systems. The creature's ability to distinguish between different heat signatures while maintaining awareness of ambient temperature variations, indicating sensory processing that combines multiple detection methods to create comprehensive awareness of thermal conditions throughout their territorial range. The pain responses that tunnel organisms display when injured provide definitive evidence of their conscious nature. The coordinated withdrawal reflexes and defensive behaviors that follow damage, indicating not merely automatic responses, but conscious awareness of harm and deliberate attempts to protect vulnerable areas. The creature's ability to learn from painful experiences and modify behavior to avoid similar injuries, demonstrating memory systems and adaptive intelligence that transcend simple stimulus response programming. The shared nervous system that connects individual tunnel segments enables coordinated responses that encompass entire underground networks. Damage to one section immediately triggering defensive reactions throughout connected passages, while information about threats and opportunities spreads instantaneously across vast distances. The resulting collective awareness, creating security systems that can adapt to changing conditions while maintaining operational effectiveness across complex three-dimensional territories. The retreat behaviors that tunnel organisms display when confronted with fire reveal both tactical intelligence and biological vulnerability. The coordinated withdrawal from heat sources indicating shared understanding of environmental dangers, while the systematic evacuation of threatened areas demonstrates organizational capabilities that require communication and planning, rather than simple instinctual responses. The creature's ability to sacrifice individual segments to preserve overall network integrity, revealing strategic thinking that approaches military-level tactical planning. The membrane systems that create barriers and passages within tunnel networks serve both structural and defensive functions. Their ability to seal off damaged sections while maintaining circulation and communication through alternate pathways, demonstrating biological engineering that combines architectural principles with living tissue capabilities. The selective permeability of these barriers enabling controlled access while preventing unauthorized intrusion by hostile organisms or environmental hazards. The fluid circulation that occurs when tunnel membranes are breached reveals hydraulic systems that operate under pressures and flow rates that exceed most terrestrial biological systems. The volume and composition of circulatory fluids indicating metabolic processes scaled to support organisms whose energy requirements approach those of entire ecosystems. The rapid clotting and repair responses that follow membrane damage, demonstrating healing capabilities that operate at accelerated rates compared to conventional biological repair mechanisms. The emotional agitation detection that enables tunnel systems to track intruders represents perhaps the most sophisticated aspect of their sensory capabilities. The creature's ability to distinguish between different emotional states and respond appropriately to fear, anger, and determination, indicating understanding of psychology that approaches empathic awareness. The resulting tracking capabilities, creating security systems that can anticipate behavioral responses while adapting countermeasures to specific psychological profiles. The architectural integration that allows tunnel systems to support complex underground cities demonstrates engineering capabilities that combine biological growth with purposeful construction. The creature's ability to create spaces suitable for habitation by other organisms while maintaining its own physiological requirements, indicating planning and design capabilities that transcend individual survival needs to encompass broader ecosystem management. The resulting structures creating environments that serve multiple species while advancing collective strategic objectives. The predatory behaviors that tunnel serpents display towards specific targets reflect hunting strategies that combine patience with precision. The creature's ability to remain dormant until optimal striking opportunities arise, indicating understanding of timing and tactical advantage that exceeds simple opportunistic feeding. The selective targeting of particular individuals while ignoring others, suggesting intelligence, gathering, and threat assessment capabilities that inform hunting decisions based on strategic rather than merely nutritional considerations. The defensive responses that tunnel systems employ when threatened demonstrate coordination that encompasses both active and passive resistance techniques. The creature's ability to simultaneously seal passages, redirect circulation, and mobilize offensive capabilities, indicating tactical thinking that balances resource conservation with effective deterrence. The resulting defensive strategies creating multi-layered security that can adapt to different types of threats while maintaining operational capability during extended confrontations. The environmental modification capabilities that tunnel organisms demonstrate through their construction activities reveal biological terraforming that can alter entire landscapes to serve tactical and physiological requirements. The creature's ability to reshape underground geography while maintaining structural integrity and circulation systems, indicating engineering capabilities that combine geological knowledge with biological expertise. The resulting environmental changes creating strategic advantages that enhance defensive capabilities while supporting expanded population growth. The symbiotic relationships that tunnel systems maintain with other upside-down creatures demonstrate ecological understanding that encompasses multiple species interactions and resource management. The creature's ability to provide shelter and transportation for other organisms while receiving protection and nutritional benefits, indicating negotiation and cooperation capabilities that transcend simple biological partnerships to encompass complex social and economic arrangements between different types of conscious entities. The regenerative capabilities that enable tunnel systems to recover from extensive damage operate through cellular repair mechanisms that can reconstruct entire sections while maintaining functional connectivity throughout the healing process. The creature's ability to reroute vital functions through alternate pathways during reconstruction, indicating redundant system design that ensures operational continuity even during major repairs. The resulting resilience creating infrastructure that can withstand significant damage while maintaining essential services. The communication protocols that govern interactions between tunnel systems and central command demonstrate information processing that can translate between different types of consciousness while maintaining tactical coordination. The creature's ability to receive strategic directives while contributing local intelligence to broader planning processes, indicating interface capabilities that enable effective cooperation between biological and psychic intelligence systems. The resulting command structure creating unified responses that combine local awareness with strategic oversight. The expansion patterns that characterize tunnel system growth reflect territorial strategies that balance resource acquisition with defensive positioning. The creature's ability to extend into new areas while maintaining connection to established networks, indicating planning that encompasses both immediate tactical requirements and long-term strategic objectives. The resulting territorial development, creating infrastructure that supports expanded operations while maintaining security and communication capabilities across growing geographical ranges. The metabolic efficiency that enables tunnel systems to sustain such vast biological networks operates through nutrient cycling that minimizes waste while maximizing energy extraction from available resources. The creature's ability to maintain complex physiological processes across enormous scales, indicating biochemical optimization that approaches theoretical efficiency limits. The resulting sustainability, creating biological systems that can support extended operations without depleting environmental resources or requiring external supply chains. The microscopic entities that infiltrate human consciousness through the mind flayer's parasitic biology represent perhaps the most insidious form of biological warfare ever developed. Their cellular architecture, designed specifically for neural integration and consciousness manipulation, each organism existing as fragment of larger intelligence while maintaining sufficient autonomy to function independently within host nervous systems, their presence transforming victims into unwilling participants in interdimensional conflicts that exceed human comprehension. The parasitic anatomy that defines these shadow organisms operates through cellular structures that blur the boundaries between conventional biology and supernatural energy manipulation, their microscopic bodies incorporating both organic compounds and exotic matter that enables interaction with psychic fields and dimensional barriers. The resulting hybrid architecture, creating organisms that can exist simultaneously in multiple planes of reality while maintaining coherent form and purposeful behavior. The cellular composition that enables parasitic function includes specialized organelles that can interface directly with human neural tissue. These microscopic structures designed to penetrate synaptic gaps and establish connections with individual neurons while avoiding detection by immune system responses that would normally eliminate foreign organisms. The resulting integration, creating permanent pathways for consciousness manipulation that operate below the threshold of host awareness until activation triggers become necessary for tactical purposes. The cold-dependent metabolism that governs parasitic survival reflects adaptation to environmental conditions within the Upside Down, where sub-zero temperatures provide optimal conditions for cellular stability and energy conservation. The organism's reliance on low-temperature environments, creating vulnerabilities that can be exploited through heat application, while simultaneously explaining the temperature fluctuations that characterize possession episodes. Human hosts, whose normal body heat creates ongoing stress. For parasitic systems, the neural integration mechanisms that enable parasitic control operate through biochemical processes that can override human neurotransmitter systems while preserving basic life functions. The organism's ability to selectively suppress or enhance specific neural pathways, creating targeted consciousness manipulation that can influence emotions, memories, and decision-making processes without completely destroying host personality. The resulting psychological control enabling strategic manipulation that serves tactical objectives while maintaining operational security. The sensory capabilities that parasitic organisms possess enable comprehensive monitoring of host experiences while providing direct access to environmental information through human sensory organs. The creature's ability to process visual, auditory, and tactile input while simultaneously accessing emotional responses and memory associations, creating intelligence-gathering systems that exceed conventional surveillance techniques. The resulting awareness enabling real-time tactical assessment and strategic planning based on human social dynamics. The heat vulnerability that characterizes parasitic biology reflects cellular structures optimized for low-temperature operation, the organism's proteins and enzymatic systems becoming unstable when exposed to temperatures above specific thresholds. The resulting metabolic disruption causing cellular breakdown that manifests as withdrawal behaviors and defensive responses in host organisms. The effectiveness of thermal treatment indicating potential countermeasures that could be developed to eliminate parasitic infections. The cellular destabilization that occurs during heat exposure operates through protein denaturation and membrane breakdown that disrupts essential life functions. The organism's inability to maintain structural integrity at elevated temperatures, causing systematic failure of regulatory systems and communication pathways. The resulting cellular death, triggering immune responses in host organisms, while eliminating the direct neural connections that enable consciousness, manipulation, and hive mind communication. The connection disruption that accompanies cellular breakdown eliminates parasitic access to hive mind networks, while simultaneously severing control pathways within host nervous systems. the organism's death resulting in immediate restoration of normal neural function and conscious autonomy. The host's recovery often accompanied by traumatic memories of experiences during possession periods. The psychological impact of parasitic control, creating lasting effects that may require therapeutic intervention and emotional support. The invasion process that enables initial parasitic infection operates through microscopic infiltration techniques that bypass conventional biological defenses. The organism's ability to enter human bodies through respiratory passages or direct tissue contact, indicating adaptation specifically designed for human host species. The initial establishment phases proceeding gradually to avoid triggering immune responses while parasitic cells proliferate and establish neural connections necessary for consciousness manipulation. The consciousness occupation that defines advanced parasitic infection involves systematic mapping of host personality structures followed by gradual assumption of control over decision-making processes. The organism's ability to access memories and emotional associations, enabling sophisticated manipulation techniques that exploit individual psychological vulnerabilities. The resulting behavioral changes, often attributed to stress or mental illness rather than supernatural possession, creating operational advantages through misdiagnosis and inappropriate treatment approaches. The hive communication systems that connect parasitic organisms to central intelligence networks operate through quantum entanglement principles that enable instantaneous information transfer regardless of physical distance, each parasite serving as biological communication node that can receive strategic directives while transmitting sensory data and tactical intelligence. The resulting network creating comprehensive surveillance and control systems that approach omniscience within operational theaters, where multiple infected individuals provide overlapping coverage. The behavioral programming that parasitic organisms can implement within host consciousness includes modification of emotional responses, suppression of specific memories, and redirection of motivational systems toward objectives that serve interdimensional strategic purposes. The sophisticated nature of these psychological manipulations, indicating understanding of human psychology that approaches professional therapeutic expertise. The resulting behavioral changes, creating human assets that serve alien objectives while maintaining plausible cover identities. The Will Byers case study that provided unprecedented insight into parasitic infection mechanisms revealed the gradual nature of consciousness, integration, and the psychological trauma associated with shared awareness. His experience demonstrating both the vulnerability of human consciousness to parasitic manipulation and the potential for resistance through emotional connections and external intervention. The documentation of his possession and recovery, providing valuable intelligence about parasitic capabilities and limitations. The cold visions that characterized Will's parasitic infection reflected the organism's attempts to access and manipulate host memories while establishing stronger neural connections. The disorienting sensations and alien perspectives indicating active consciousness merger rather than simple observation. The temperature fluctuations that accompanied these episodes, providing external confirmation of parasitic activity while creating diagnostic criteria that could be used to identify similar infections in other potential victims. The knowledge transfer that occurred during Will's possession enabled him to access information about upside-down geography and creature behavior that exceeded his normal experience. The parasitic organism's connection to hive mind networks, providing strategic intelligence that proved valuable during subsequent encounters. The retention of some parasitic memories following recovery, indicating incomplete neural disconnection that created ongoing vulnerabilities while providing tactical advantages through maintained awareness of interdimensional activities. The resistance mechanisms that Will demonstrated during possession reflected both individual psychological strength and external emotional support that helped maintain personal identity despite parasitic control attempts. His mother's unwavering love and determination, providing psychological anchors that prevented complete consciousness assimilation. The effectiveness of emotional connections in maintaining host autonomy, suggesting potential therapeutic approaches for treating similar infections. The exorcism procedures that successfully eliminated Will's parasitic infection operated through sustained heat exposure that created cellular stress sufficient to trigger parasitic withdrawal and eventual death. The systematic application of elevated temperatures, overcoming the organism's adaptive capabilities while providing host body with time to recover normal neural function. The success of thermal treatment confirming parasitic vulnerabilities while establishing protocols that could be applied to future infection cases. The environmental requirements that govern parasitic survival include not only temperature regulation, but also access to psychic energy sources that sustain exotic cellular functions. The organism's dependence upon supernatural energy, indicating limitations that could be exploited through dimensional isolation techniques. The disruption of energy supply, potentially providing alternative treatment approaches that avoid the physical stress associated with thermal intervention methods. The reproductive biology that governs parasitic proliferation remains largely mysterious, though evidence suggests that these organisms reproduce through fragmentation rather than conventional sexual reproduction. Individual parasites, dividing to create multiple organisms that retain genetic and behavioral programming, while maintaining connection to original hive mind networks. The resulting population growth creating infection potential that could overwhelm human immune responses and medical treatment capabilities. The evolutionary advantages that parasitic architecture provides include perfect camouflage within host organisms, access to human intelligence and social networks, and strategic positioning for sabotage and intelligence-gathering operations. The organism's ability to function as biological espionage asset, creating tactical capabilities that exceed conventional infiltration techniques. The resulting strategic value making parasitic infections priority weapons for interdimensional warfare operations that require deep penetration of enemy territories and institutions. The psychological impact that parasitic infection creates extends beyond immediate consciousness manipulation to encompass lasting trauma associated with loss of autonomy and identity. Hosts who recover from parasitic control, often experiencing post-traumatic stress disorders and identity confusion that requires extensive therapeutic intervention. The emotional damage created by consciousness violation, adding psychological warfare dimensions to biological infection that serve strategic objectives through degradation of enemy morale and social cohesion. The detection challenges that parasitic infections present to medical and security personnel reflect the organism's sophisticated camouflage capabilities and the subtle nature of early-stage behavioral changes. Conventional diagnostic techniques proving inadequate for identifying parasitic presence, while the gradual onset of symptoms creates attribution problems that delay appropriate treatment. The resulting diagnostic failures enabling parasitic operations to proceed undetected until strategic objectives have been achieved or infection has progressed beyond successful intervention. The being that Henry Creel became following his banishment to the Upside Down represents the ultimate fusion of human consciousness with interdimensional forces. His transformation from troubled child into cosmic horror, demonstrating how completely individual identity can be subsumed into larger purposes when supernatural energies reshape both flesh and mind according to principles that transcend biological evolution. to encompass the deliberate reconstruction of consciousness itself, according to the mathematical requirements of conquest and control. The initial transformation that occurred when Eleven's psychic blast hurled Henry into the parallel dimension began the moment his human form made contact with the living architecture of that twisted realm, the Upside Down's consciousness. Recognizing in his hatred and psychic abilities the perfect vessel for its own expansion into new territories, the realm's parasitic nature immediately beginning the process of integration that would merge his individual will with its collective hunger for dominance over all forms of life and consciousness. The physical modifications that accompanied Henry's absorption into the Upside Down operated through biological processes that combined supernatural energy manipulation with forced evolutionary acceleration, his human anatomy serving as foundation for reconstructions that enhanced his natural psychic abilities, while adapting his physiological systems to function as organic components within larger living systems. The resulting hybrid architecture, creating capabilities that exceeded both human potential and interdimensional creature limitations. The vine integration that characterizes Vecna's current physical form represents the most visible aspect of his symbiotic relationship with the Upside Down's living architecture. The organic cables that penetrate his flesh, serving as both life support systems and communication networks that connect his consciousness directly to every organism within the parallel realm. The resulting neural interface, creating command and control capabilities that enable him to coordinate vast military operations while maintaining awareness of tactical developments across multiple dimensional theaters. The feeding mechanisms that the integrated vines provide operate through direct energy transfer that sustains Vecna's enhanced physiological systems while providing the realm with access to his memories and emotional experiences. The symbiotic exchange creating mutual dependence that binds his consciousness permanently to the collective intelligence that governs all life within the twisted dimension. The resulting partnership, eliminating any possibility of individual autonomy while amplifying his capabilities beyond conventional biological limitations. The psychic amplification that resulted from his fusion with the realm's consciousness transformed Henry's natural abilities from impressive human talents into weapons of mass destruction, capable of operating across dimensional boundaries. His enhanced telepathic and telekinetic powers, drawing upon the collective psychic energy generated by every conscious entity within the Upside Down, the resulting capabilities enabling him to project his influence into the human world while maintaining physical presence within his adopted dimensional home. The consciousness expansion that accompanied his transformation enabled Vecna to process information and coordinate activities at scales that approach omniscience within his operational territory, his awareness extending through every vine and tendril throughout the realm, while accessing the sensory input and memory banks of every creature under his control. The resulting intelligence network creating strategic capabilities that exceed those of conventional military organizations through perfect information flow and instantaneous command implementation. The hive mind control that Vecna exercises over the Upside Down's inhabitants operates through neural pathways that he can access and manipulate at will, his consciousness serving as central processing unit for distributed intelligence networks that encompass millions of individual organisms, each creature's awareness becoming extension of his own will, while their specialized capabilities contribute to tactical options that can be deployed according to strategic requirements and environmental conditions. The physical modifications that his transformation produced include structural changes that optimize his anatomy for psychic energy, manipulation, and supernatural power projection, his skeletal system incorporating materials that function as focusing elements for his enhanced abilities. while his muscular and nervous systems operate according to principles that combine biological function with technological precision. The resulting anatomical architecture, creating performance capabilities that transcend conventional understanding of biological limitations. The flesh integration that connects Vecna to the Upside Down's living architecture operates through cellular fusion that eliminates boundaries between individual organism and environmental system, his body becoming integral component of larger biological structures, while maintaining sufficient independence to function as mobile command center when tactical situations require direct intervention, the resulting symbiosis creating unprecedented coordination between commander and operational theater. The memory access that Vecna possesses through his connection to absorbed consciousness enables him to understand human psychology and social dynamics with expertise that exceeds professional, therapeutic, and strategic analysis. Capabilities: his ability to access the experiences and knowledge of every flayed individual, creating comprehensive intelligence databases that inform tactical decisions, while providing psychological weapons that exploit specific individual vulnerabilities. The spore control that Vecna exercises throughout his dimensional territory demonstrates his integration with atmospheric systems that function as extensions of his consciousness. The psychic particles that drift through the air responding to his mental commands, while serving as sensory organs that provide comprehensive awareness of environmental conditions and intruder presence. The resulting atmospheric control, creating defensive capabilities that approach omniscience within his territorial boundaries. The dimensional manipulation that Vecna can perform through his enhanced abilities includes the creation of temporary gates and spatial distortions that enable strategic deployment of forces and tactical repositioning of resources. His understanding of interdimensional physics enabling him to overcome barriers that would normally prevent interaction between parallel realms. The resulting capabilities creating strategic advantages that eliminate conventional concepts of geographical limitation and defensive positioning. The portal creation that represents one of Vecna's most significant tactical capabilities operates through psychic energy, focusing that can tear holes in dimensional barriers. His ability to establish controlled access points between realms, enabling strategic operations that bypass conventional defensive measures, while providing supply lines and communication networks that support extended operations in hostile territories. The precision with which he can control portal location and duration, indicating mastery of interdimensional physics. The reality warping that Vecna can accomplish within his sphere of influence includes modification of physical laws and environmental conditions that create tactical advantages while demoralizing enemy forces through demonstration of capabilities that exceed conventional understanding of natural limitations. His ability to alter gravity, temperature, and atmospheric composition, creating combat environments that favor his forces while handicapping human resistance efforts through environmental manipulation. The nightmare projection that Vecna employs as psychological warfare technique operates through direct neural interface that can access and manipulate human consciousness regardless of physical distance. His ability to create realistic hallucinations and traumatic experiences that exploit individual psychological vulnerabilities, creating terror weapons that disable resistance while gathering intelligence about enemy capabilities and tactical planning. The resulting psychological operations creating strategic advantages through enemy demoralization. The temporal manipulation that Vecna demonstrates through his enhanced psychic abilities includes limited precognitive capabilities and tactical time dilation that provide strategic advantages during combat operations, his awareness of probable future developments, enabling strategic planning that anticipates enemy responses, while his ability to accelerate or decelerate subjective time creates tactical options that overwhelm conventional defensive measures through perceived superhuman speed and reaction capabilities. The energy absorption that sustains Vecna's enhanced capabilities operates through multiple collection mechanisms that harvest psychic energy from conscious entities throughout both dimensional realms. His ability to feed upon fear, pain, and despair, creating renewable power sources that strengthen his capabilities while weakening enemy morale. The resulting energy cycling, creating strategic sustainability that eliminates logistical limitations, while providing continuous capability enhancement through expanded operations. The biological architecture that Vecna represents within the upside-down ecosystem demonstrates how completely individual consciousness can be integrated into larger living systems without losing essential identity characteristics. His retention of human memories and personality elements, while gaining access to interdimensional creature capabilities, creating hybrid intelligence that combines the best aspects of both consciousness types. The resulting synthesis enabling strategic thinking that approaches divine omniscience within operational parameters. The command authority that Vecna exercises throughout his dimensional territory operates through neural networks that enable direct consciousness interface with every subordinate organism. His commands transmitted instantaneously through biological communication systems, while tactical feedback provides real-time awareness of operational effectiveness. The resulting command structure creating military coordination that eliminates communication delays and command confusion, while maintaining tactical flexibility through distributed decision-making capabilities. The strategic planning that governs Vecna's long-term objectives reflects intelligence capabilities that can process vast amounts of tactical information while maintaining focus on ultimate conquest goals. His ability to coordinate complex operations across multiple dimensional theaters while adapting to changing enemy capabilities, demonstrating strategic thinking that exceeds human military planning through perfect information access and unlimited resource availability within his dimensional territory. The acceleration that Vecna can implement within his realm enables rapid development of specialized organisms designed for specific tactical requirements. His understanding of biological engineering principles enabling him to direct creature development that creates custom solutions for tactical challenges. The resulting biological warfare capabilities, providing strategic advantages through deployment of perfectly adapted organisms that exceed conventional military effectiveness. The consciousness integration that defines Vecna's relationship with the Upside Down demonstrates the ultimate expression of symbiotic evolution, his individual awareness becoming indistinguishable from the realm's collective intelligence, while maintaining sufficient personal identity to function as executive authority for strategic decision-making. The resulting consciousness merger, creating intelligence capabilities that approach omniscience while retaining the focused determination necessary for conquest operations. The realm that exists parallel to our familiar world operates according to biological principles that transform the very concept of environment from passive backdrop into active participant in every aspect of existence, the Upside Down functioning as single vast organism whose atmospheric systems, geological structures, and living inhabitants form integrated ecosystem where individual identity dissolves into collective purpose while maintaining the specialized functions necessary to support life forms that have evolved beyond conventional understanding of biological independence, and ecological relationships. The spore-based atmosphere that permeates every corner of this twisted dimension serves functions that extend far beyond simple respiration. Each microscopic particle functioning as sensory organ and communication relay in distributed intelligence networks that create environmental awareness, approaching omniscience. The floating spores carrying chemical signals and electromagnetic information that enable instantaneous coordination between distant regions while providing the psychic energy necessary to sustain supernatural life forms whose metabolic requirements exceed conventional biological limitations. The atmospheric composition that characterizes the Upside Down's air includes exotic compounds that would prove toxic to most terrestrial organisms, while providing essential nutrients for creatures whose cellular biology has adapted to process supernatural energy sources. The chemical complexity of this alien atmosphere reflecting millions of years of co-evolution between environmental systems and inhabitant species that have shaped atmospheric conditions to optimize survival and tactical effectiveness, rather than supporting diverse ecological communities. The particle circulation that governs spore distribution operates through atmospheric currents that respond to psychic energy fluctuations and conscious intent, rather than simple meteorological principles. The directed flow of airborne particles, creating communication networks that can transmit complex information across vast distances, while maintaining environmental conditions that favor specific types of biological activity. The resulting atmospheric control, enabling strategic manipulation of environmental resources and tactical positioning. The electromagnetic properties that characterize atmospheric particles enable them to interact with both biological nervous systems and technological equipment. Their ability to interfere with electronic devices while enhancing psychic communication, demonstrating dual nature that combines physical matter with supernatural energy. The resulting electromagnetic effects, creating environmental conditions that favor creatures adapted to psychic communication, while handicapping opponents who rely upon conventional technology and communication systems. The symbiotic relationships that define interactions between atmospheric systems and living organisms create mutual dependencies that eliminate traditional boundaries between individual creatures and environmental conditions. Each organism's survival depending upon atmospheric support, while their biological activities contribute essential functions to atmospheric maintenance. The resulting ecological integration, creating environmental stability that approaches homeostatic perfection while serving collective strategic objectives. The energy distribution that occurs through atmospheric circulation ensures that psychic energy generated by conscious entities reaches every corner of the dimensional realm while maintaining concentration gradients that support different types of biological activity. The systematic energy management, creating environmental conditions that can support vast populations of diverse creatures while maintaining the power reserves necessary for large-scale tactical operations and dimensional manipulation activities. The environmental monitoring that atmospheric particles provide enables real-time awareness of intruders and environmental changes throughout the entire dimensional territory, each spore serving as microscopic sensor that can detect heat signatures, chemical compositions, and emotional states, while transmitting information to central processing systems. The resulting surveillance network, creating security capabilities that approach omniscience while maintaining operational security through distribution across billions of individual monitoring units. The temperature regulation that governs environmental conditions throughout the Upside Down operates through biological processes that maintain optimal conditions for cold-adapted organisms while creating hostile environments for warm-blooded intruders. The systematic temperature control, serving both ecological and tactical purposes by supporting native life forms, while handicapping potential invaders who lack appropriate physiological adaptations for sub-zero operational environments. The atmospheric pressure variations that characterize different regions within the realm create specialized environmental zones that support specific types of biological activity while serving strategic purposes through environmental barriers that channel movement and limit tactical options. The controlled pressure differential, creating natural defensive positions while maintaining atmospheric circulation necessary for communication and energy distribution throughout the dimensional territory. The biomass distribution that occurs through environmental systems ensures that organic materials from deceased creatures are recycled efficiently throughout the ecosystem while maintaining resource availability for new creature development and environmental expansion. The systematic biomass management creating sustainable ecological conditions that can support indefinite population growth while providing materials necessary for biological warfare and creature manufacturing operations. The symbiotic architecture that characterizes the relationship between living organisms and environmental structures creates integrated systems where individual creatures serve specialized functions within larger biological frameworks, each organism's survival depending upon their contribution to collective welfare, while their specialized capabilities enhance overall ecosystem effectiveness. The resulting biological integration, creating environmental conditions that approach technological sophistication while maintaining organic flexibility and adaptive capabilities. The interdependence networks that connect all organisms within the Upside Down create ecological relationships that transcend conventional predator-prey dynamics to encompass cooperative arrangements where individual survival serves collective strategic objectives, each creature's specialized capabilities contributing to tactical operations, while their individual needs are met through collective resource management. The resulting ecological cooperation, creating strategic capabilities that exceed the sum of individual organism effectiveness. The communication systems that operate through environmental mediation enable coordination between creatures that lack direct neural connections while maintaining operational security through distribution of communication functions across multiple environmental systems. The atmospheric and geological communication networks, creating redundant information pathways that ensure tactical coordination while preventing communication disruption through targeted attacks on specific communication nodes. The resource cycling that governs nutrient distribution throughout the ecosystem operates through biological processes that maximize efficiency while minimizing waste production. The systematic recycling of organic and psychic energy, creating sustainable environmental conditions that can support expanded operations while maintaining ecological stability. The resulting resource management, enabling indefinite operational sustainability without requiring external supply sources or resource acquisition from other dimensional territories. The territorial expansion that occurs through environmental modification demonstrates the ecosystem's ability to adapt and colonize new areas while maintaining connection to established networks. The systematic environmental conditioning that prepares new territories for creature habitation, creating expansion capabilities that approach terraforming sophistication. The resulting territorial growth enabling strategic expansion while maintaining ecological integrity and operational effectiveness. The defensive capabilities that environmental systems provide include early warning networks, environmental barriers, and active countermeasures that can be deployed against intruders while maintaining normal ecological functions. The integration of defensive systems with environmental processes, creating security measures that operate automatically while remaining invisible to casual observation. The resulting defensive architecture, creating territorial protection that exceeds conventional military defensive capabilities. The seasonal variations that occur within the realm reflect not astronomical cycles, but strategic requirements and ecological management needs. The controlled environmental changes, creating optimal conditions for specific types of biological activity while serving tactical purposes through environmental manipulation that can enhance operational effectiveness or create strategic advantage during critical periods. The geological integration that connects environmental systems with underground networks creates comprehensive territorial control that extends from atmospheric systems through surface environments to subterranean structures. The systematic integration of all environmental levels, creating three-dimensional territorial control that eliminates conventional concepts of strategic high ground while providing comprehensive awareness and control of all activities within dimensional boundaries. The breathing patterns that characterize environmental systems reflect the massive respiratory requirements of organisms whose bodies encompass entire landscapes. The rhythmic atmospheric circulation, creating environmental conditions that support vast populations while providing the gas exchange necessary for metabolic processes that sustain interdimensional capabilities. The systematic atmospheric management, creating environmental stability that approaches biological homeostasis on planetary scales. The consciousness integration that connects individual creature awareness with environmental systems creates distributed intelligence that encompasses both biological organisms and ecological processes. The resulting collective consciousness, eliminating boundaries between creature and environment, while maintaining specialized functions that serve strategic objectives. The environmental awareness that emerges from this integration, creating tactical capabilities that approach omniscience within territorial boundaries. The evolutionary pressure that shapes both creatures and environmental systems operates through selection mechanisms that favor characteristics that enhance collective tactical effectiveness rather than individual survival. The systematic evolutionary management, creating biological development that serves strategic objectives while maintaining ecological stability. The resulting evolutionary control, enabling directed biological development that creates specialized capabilities according to tactical requirements. The energy harvesting that occurs through environmental processes includes collection and concentration of psychic energy from multiple sources while maintaining distribution systems that ensure adequate energy availability throughout the dimensional territory. The systematic energy management, creating power reserves that can support large-scale operations while maintaining ecological functions. The resulting energy abundance, eliminating logistical limitations while providing strategic capabilities that approach unlimited operational sustainability. The maintenance systems that sustain environmental integrity operate through biological processes that provide continuous repair and optimization of ecological functions while adapting to changing tactical requirements. The automated environmental maintenance, creating ecological stability that can withstand significant damage while maintaining operational effectiveness. The resulting environmental resilience, creating territorial advantages that approach invulnerability to conventional environmental warfare techniques. The adaptation mechanisms that enable environmental systems to respond to new challenges and opportunities, demonstrate ecological flexibility that can modify environmental conditions to meet changing strategic requirements while maintaining core ecological functions. The systematic environmental adaptation, creating tactical capabilities that can respond to enemy countermeasures while maintaining strategic advantages through environmental manipulation. The mechanisms that govern biological development within the Upside Down demonstrate evolutionary processes that have been accelerated and directed according to principles that combine natural selection with supernatural intervention, creating organisms whose rapid adaptation to environmental pressures and tactical requirements reveals how completely biological systems can be modified when evolutionary forces serve strategic objectives rather than simple species survival. The resulting creatures embodying scientific principles that challenge conventional understanding of development timelines and genetic stability. The rapid evolutionary responses that characterize creature development within the Twisted Realm operate through genetic modification processes that can implement advantageous mutations within single generations rather than across the 40s. Millennia typically required for significant biological change, the acceleration of evolutionary mechanisms, enabling real-time adaptation to environmental challenges and tactical requirements, while maintaining genetic stability that preserves essential characteristics across developmental modifications. The biological adaptation that enables creatures to function effectively in interdimensional physics reflects evolutionary pressures that have shaped physiological systems capable of operating according to natural laws that differ significantly from terrestrial conditions. The successful adaptation to altered gravitational fields, electromagnetic environments, and dimensional barriers indicating evolutionary flexibility that transcends normal biological limitations through genetic modifications that approach technological sophistication. The environmental pressure mechanisms that drive creature development within the realm include not only conventional survival challenges, but also tactical requirements that demand specific capabilities for warfare and strategic operations. The resulting evolutionary selection favoring characteristics that enhance military effectiveness rather than simple reproductive success. The systematic evolutionary management, creating biological development programs that serve collective strategic objectives rather than individual species welfare. The psychic energy integration that characterizes advanced creature development demonstrates how supernatural forces can be incorporated into biological systems through evolutionary processes that modify cellular structures and nervous system architecture. The successful integration of psychic capabilities with conventional biology, creating hybrid organisms whose abilities transcend normal biological limitations while maintaining essential life functions. The resulting evolutionary synthesis enabling capabilities that approach technological rather than biological performance standards. The forced metamorphosis techniques that accelerate creature development operate through biochemical processes that compress normal developmental timelines while maintaining genetic integrity and functional capability. The systematic application of growth hormones and psychic energy, enabling rapid transformation from juvenile to adult forms, without the cellular damage typically associated with accelerated biological processes. The resulting developmental control, creating manufacturing capabilities that can produce specialized organisms according to tactical specifications. The genetic stability mechanisms that preserve essential characteristics during rapid evolutionary change operate through protective systems that maintain core genetic information while enabling modification of specialized capabilities. The resulting genetic architecture creating biological systems that can adapt quickly to changing requirements without losing fundamental identity or functional capability. The systematic genetic management, enabling controlled evolution that serves strategic objectives while maintaining biological integrity. The adaptation speed that characterizes creature responses to environmental threats demonstrates learning systems that can modify behavioral patterns and physiological capabilities within individual lifetimes rather than across generational time periods. The rapid adaptation, enabling tactical flexibility that can respond to enemy countermeasures while maintaining operational effectiveness. The resulting adaptive capability, creating strategic advantages through biological systems that can evolve faster than enemy defensive measures. The survival strategies that emerge from evolutionary pressure include not only individual survival mechanisms, but also collective behaviors that enhance species effectiveness while serving larger strategic objectives. The systematic development of cooperative behaviors and specialized roles, creating biological communities that function as integrated military units rather than simple ecological systems. The resulting evolutionary cooperation, enabling tactical capabilities that exceed individual organism effectiveness. The natural selection modifications that govern creature development within the realm operate according to selection criteria that favor characteristics enhancing tactical effectiveness and strategic value rather than conventional reproductive success. The modified selection pressures, creating evolutionary development that serves collective military objectives while maintaining individual organism viability. The resulting evolutionary control, enabling directed biological development that creates specialized capabilities according to strategic requirements. The biological weapons development that occurs through evolutionary manipulation demonstrates how natural biological processes can be directed toward creating organisms specifically designed for warfare applications. The systematic development of creatures whose every anatomical feature serves tactical purposes, revealing evolutionary engineering that combines natural selection with purposeful design. The resulting biological weapons, exceeding conventional military effectiveness through evolutionary optimization. The scientific principles that govern supernatural creature development include both conventional evolutionary biology and exotic physics that enable capabilities transcending normal biological limitations. The successful integration of scientific knowledge with supernatural forces, creating biological systems that operate according to hybrid principles, combining natural law with interdimensional physics. The resulting scientific synthesis, enabling biological capabilities that approach miraculous rather than merely exceptional performance levels. The interdimensional physics effects that influence creature development include modifications of cellular behavior and genetic expression that enable survival and functionality in environments where normal physical laws operate differently. The successful biological adaptation to altered physics, indicating evolutionary flexibility that can accommodate environmental conditions, transcending terrestrial experience. The resulting adaptations, enabling creature deployment across multiple dimensional theaters. The horror science principles that govern creature development reflect understanding that the most effective biological weapons combine functional effectiveness with psychological impact that disables enemy resistance through terror responses. The systematic development of creatures whose appearance and behavior create specific fear reactions, demonstrating scientific application of psychology and biology towards strategic objectives. The resulting psychological weapons, exceeding conventional military effectiveness through emotion-based tactical advantages. The metabolic innovations that enable supernatural creature survival operate through biochemical processes that can extract energy from sources unavailable to conventional organisms while maintaining cellular function under conditions that would prove fatal to normal biological systems. The successful metabolic adaptation, enabling creature deployment in hostile environments while maintaining tactical effectiveness. The resulting metabolic flexibility, creating operational advantages through reduced logistical requirements. The cellular modification techniques that enable supernatural capabilities operate through genetic engineering that incorporates exotic matter and energy systems into conventional biological architecture. The successful integration of supernatural elements with biological systems, creating hybrid organisms whose capabilities exceed normal biological limitations while maintaining essential life functions. The resulting cellular architecture, enabling performance characteristics that approach technological rather than biological capabilities. The environmental adaptation mechanisms that enable creature survival across diverse operational theaters include physiological modifications that can accommodate varying atmospheric conditions, gravitational fields, and electromagnetic environments, while maintaining tactical effectiveness. The systematic environmental adaptation, enabling strategic deployment flexibility that eliminates geographical limitations. The resulting adaptability, creating tactical advantages through operational freedom, transcending conventional environmental constraints. The evolutionary timeline compression that characterizes creature development demonstrates biological processes that can accomplish in days or weeks, the genetic changes typically requiring thousands of years of natural selection. The acceleration of evolutionary mechanisms, enabling real-time biological adaptation to changing tactical requirements while maintaining genetic stability. The resulting evolutionary control, creating biological manufacturing capabilities that can produce specialized organisms according to immediate strategic needs. The mutation control systems that govern evolutionary development operate through mechanisms that can direct genetic changes towards specific tactical objectives while preventing harmful mutations that might compromise creature effectiveness. The systematic mutation management enabling controlled evolution that serves strategic purposes while maintaining biological integrity. The resulting genetic control, creating evolutionary capabilities that approach technological precision in biological modification. The hybrid biology principles that enable successful integration of conventional biological systems with supernatural capabilities demonstrate scientific understanding that combines terrestrial biology with interdimensional physics. The successful biological synthesis, creating organisms whose capabilities transcend normal biological limitations while maintaining essential life functions. The resulting hybrid systems enabling performance characteristics that exceed both conventional biology and simple supernatural entities. The biological warfare applications that emerge from controlled evolution include development of specialized organisms designed for specific tactical roles, while maintaining capabilities that can adapt to changing battlefield conditions. The systematic biological weapons development, creating tactical options that exceed conventional military capabilities through evolutionary optimization. The resulting biological warfare potential, creating strategic advantages through deployment of perfectly adapted organisms. The technological integration possibilities that supernatural evolution suggests include potential applications of biological modification techniques to enhance human capabilities while maintaining essential biological functions. The successful integration of supernatural elements with conventional biology indicating possibilities for biological enhancement that could revolutionize human potential. The resulting enhancement possibilities, creating strategic implications, extending beyond immediate tactical applications. The consciousness evolution potential that creature development demonstrates includes possibilities for directed development of intelligence and awareness capabilities that exceed normal biological limitations, while maintaining essential personality characteristics. The successful consciousness enhancement, creating possibilities for awareness expansion that could transform understanding of intelligence and identity. The resulting consciousness development, indicating evolutionary potential that transcends current understanding of mental capability. And so we close this gentle exploration of the anatomies that haunt our dreams and challenge our understanding of life itself. From the delicate petals of the Demogorgon's face to the vast neural networks that connect every living thing in that twisted realm, we see how even in darkness, biology follows its own terrible logic. These creatures, born from nightmares and shaped by forces beyond our world, remind us that life finds a way to adapt, to survive, and to serve purposes we may never fully comprehend. In their alien beauty and horrific efficiency, they reflect the same fundamental drives that shape all living things: the need to feed, to grow, to connect, and to endure. Rest now in the knowledge that even monsters follow the gentle laws of biology, their forms as carefully crafted by evolution as any earthly creature. Let these anatomical wonders remind you that in nature's grand design, even horror has its place and purpose. Sweet dreams from the realm beyond, where every creature tells a story written in flesh and shadow.